Okay, so there's been a leaked report with the Roe versus Wade case in the Supreme Court, and like everyone, I've been, getting on the forums and putting my opinion across. And there's always been a bit of backlash because I'm a guy, so I don't have the right to say anything about women's bodies and blah blah blah. The usual backlash, but I've also heard a lot of misinformation as a person of science and religion as well. I thought I'd give my opinion on this whole topic. So let's have a look. We'll start here. This is quite interesting. Uh, a YouTube channel called Middle Ground Jubilee is the actual channel. There's a program called Middle Ground, and they talk about these topics. And I read here, this is right near the end of it. I was watching the whole episode. It says here in 2019, women in their 20s accounted for the majority of abortions, 56.9%, which makes sense because that's when women are most fertile and most likely to get pregnant, especially out of marriage and that sort of thing. Majority of abortions in 2019 took place early gestation. 92.7% of abortions were performed at less than or equal to 13 weeks gestation. So keep that in mind. We're going to talk about the weeks of development here. Small number of abortions, 6.2%, were performed at 14 to 20 weeks gestation. Keep that in mind too. 6% roughly up to 20 weeks, and a further even fewer, less than 1%, were performed after 21 weeks. So that's still in the second trimester. So let's have a look at these stats because the majority, 92.7%, were performed at less than equal to 13 weeks. So I wanted to sort of break that down a little bit more. So this was from the CDC, and I had a sneaky suspicion though they weren't sort of giving us the true facts here. And I looked at the CDC and I actually saw the original statement here. Let's see if we can zoom this a bit more. Right, so this is where I got it from, right here. You can see here. Now, they've actually broken it down a bit more, which they failed to do in the original video there. Here we go. So, here we go. So an early medical abortion is defined as an administration of medications to induce an abortion at less than or equal to 9 weeks gestation. And they said that in 2019, 42.3% of all abortions were early medical abortions. So that leaves, what do we got there? 92.7. Let's just say 92 and 42. So you got 92.7 and 42.3. Let's do rough numbers there. 42% were less than 9 weeks, which means that 50% were basically between 9 and 13 weeks. All right, so you sort of think, okay, because a lot of the times when I'm arguing these points, because I believe that life's on a continuum from conception to death, right? So, and it's very, very unpopular, very, very unpopular because as we'll see in this video, it's very hard to pinpoint when you think a baby exists, when it's a baby, when it's a fetus, and that sort of thing. There's medical definitions, but we're going to play a little game here, inverted commas game, because it's not really a game. It's quite serious. But let's have a look at my website here, which is the baby center, and it tells you all the different weeks of baby's development. So, can you remember all the figures? So less than 9 weeks. So we'll go down here. So there we go. 2 weeks. Got fertilization. That's when I think we should just say, okay, just make it that, because as you'll see in this video, it's going to be very hard to determine when you think a baby is a baby. So 3 weeks. That doesn't look like a baby. So what we're going to do is we're going to run through, and you put your hand up when you think, okay, I believe that's a baby. 4 weeks. This looks like it's the size of a poppy seed. That's not a baby, you'll say. 5 weeks. Oh, hang on a minute. It's getting a bit of a form of a baby, isn't it? Anyone got their hand up yet? Do you reckon that's a baby? It's 5 weeks. It's basically almost 100% of abortions are happening after this stage, because the cutoff, what we're saying, 9 weeks. There we go. So this is when they say that the first heartbeat happens at 5 weeks. Anyone got their hands up yet? 6 weeks. Starting to look like a Loonig cartoon here. If anyone knows Loonig from Australia, look him up. Loonig. He draws humans that look like this. So size of a lentil, very, very small. Starting to get a bit of shape now. 7 weeks. Let's have a look here. Because the argument is, it's a clump of cells. It's not a baby. Clump of cells. You know, you're stupid. It's not. It's a fetus. It's a clump of cells. It's not a baby. 8 weeks. Geez, that's starting to look like a baby to me. Size of a kidney bean. That is small. But I think anyone would say that does look like a baby at 8 weeks. But as we saw in the video, in my first analysis, basically, most terminations are around this stage or later. So there's not too many that are less than 8 weeks. 40 is only, was it 42%? Let's go back to the CDC. So less than equal to 9 weeks. They're saying that 42%. All right. So roughly 60% are after 9 weeks. So let's get back to here again. So that's 8 weeks. Let's have a look at 9 weeks. This is 9 weeks. So 60% of abortions are after 9 weeks. Anyone got their hand up? Baby, not baby, fetus, clump of cells. Anyone still think that's a clump of cells? Because that's the main opposition I get. It's just a clump of cells. You need to go study biology again. It's like, well, I've looked at this website years and years ago, and I knew basically what a baby looks like at the various stages of development. 10 weeks. So now the next question is, when do you think it would be a crime to terminate? Let's put it that way. At what point do you think it would be a crime to terminate this? We'll call it baby, for lack of a better word, because people are going to say it's still a fetus. It's got arms and legs, and that's 10 weeks. 11 weeks. Do you think that's a crime yet to terminate at 11 weeks? Do you think it's a unique human being 11 weeks? Maybe not. 12 weeks. Think it's a crime to terminate at 12 weeks. Is it a baby? Is it a human being? Well, they're calling it a baby here. This week your baby's reflex kicks in. The fingers will soon begin to open and close. Toes will curl and the mouth will make sucking movements, although you won't feel the movements quite yet. Size of a lime. So you can read about the pregnancy at 12 weeks. It goes into more depth there. You can click on those. 13 weeks. Looks like a baby to me, but, maybe my eyesight's bad. What do you think? You think you can terminate at 13 weeks, no problems? It's just a clump of cells, really, isn't it? Clump of cells. So entering second trimester. So it runs through. What we'll do is we'll stop it there, and I'll show you what I mean. Jeez, let's turn off my phone here. Turn these off. Sorry about that, guys. I usually do turn off my phones. I usually do over the other side of the room, so you don't hear them. Anyway, let's turn those off. Airplane mode. So 14 weeks. All right, what was I going to do? That's right. Next, we'll look at legally in Australia and the US what the cutoff terms are for a legal abortion. All right, so this is what we're getting at. This is what Roe versus Wade is about. It's what the court decision's about. So in Australia, anyone have a guess what is the term limit before it's illegal to have an abortion? you reckon it'll be 14 weeks? Less than 14 because it looks like a baby, or maybe 9? The results might shock you. Australian Capital Territory. Let's zoom in on these a bit. ACT, no gestation limit. Legal and accessible. None. Can be full term. Must be provided by medical doctor. Health Minister may set 50-metre exclusion zones for protests to, protect the mother. New South Wales, legal up to 22 weeks. New South Wales, beyond 22 weeks, legal with 2 doctors' approval. So let's have a look at 22 weeks. What does 22 weeks look like? Do you reckon it looks like a baby at 22 weeks? Yeah, we got to scroll a bit to get to 22 weeks. Do you think that looks like a baby? 22 weeks. I don't know. You think it's still a clump of cells? It's the size of a spaghetti squash. 22 weeks. All right. But then again, Northern Territory, legal accessibility up to 24 weeks. Beyond 24 weeks, legal with 2 doctors' approvals, safe access zones of 150 metres provided around abortion clinics. Let's have a look at 24 weeks. What does 24 weeks look like? 23, 24. Boy, got hair. Your baby cuts a pretty long and lean figure, but chubbier. Times are coming. Their skin is still thin and translucent, but that will begin to change soon. Your baby is the size of an ear of corn. It's pretty late, I'd say. So and then here comes the problem. Where do you cut? Where do you make the limit? It's like everyone will have a different view of where they think it's a baby, a human being, and when it's not. So if you look at Australia, Tasmania has the lowest, 16 weeks, and ACT is an outlier, saying that it's legally accessible with no gestation limit. And second highest is around, so it goes 16, 20 in WA, 22 in SA where I am, and Queensland 22, and New South Wales 22, jumps to 24 in Northern Territory. So let's look at this. 16, get back to the baby site. Let's look at 16 weeks. That's what a 16-week baby, inverted commas. We'll do baby inverted commas so we don't offend people who still think it's a clump of cells. And so 16 to 24 weeks. And there's 24 weeks right there. And no limit. Of course, we all know what a baby looks like when they're born. So this is the last week of your second trimester, and then you get into up to 39, I think it goes to. 31, and it's full term at 39, and then they go into late term there, induced labour and so forth. Right, so who hasn't got their hand up at 24 weeks? That'll be interesting, because that's in some states it's legal to terminate a pregnancy at 24 weeks. So it'd be interesting to know. Leave your comments below. How many people still think 24 weeks is acceptable? And we'll look at the US. US, we've got a nice graph. It's not a graph. You call this a color-coded... I'm not too sure what we call this. You see it all the time, don't you? What do you call this when they color code according to the data ranges? So the lighter the range, the lower the rate. So Texas, as you know, up to 6 weeks. So let's have a look at what 6 weeks looks like. Go back down to 6 weeks. 6 weeks is that one. The loonig, I call it. Size of a lentil. Apparently it's got a heartbeat. Intestines and brains begin to develop. So that's Texas. They're very conservative. As I said, where do you draw the line? And that's why I always think that we can't. You got to make it from conception. Unfortunately, I know that's very unpopular, but otherwise, everyone's just got a different opinion, haven't they? So up to viability, that's interesting. I don't know what they call up to viability. I was thinking that's for premature babies, if it's viable to survive outside the womb, I'd say. So there we go. Arizona says a new law is set to outlaw abortion after 15 weeks, effective this summer. So let's have a look at 15 weeks again. 15 weeks is around here. That's 15 weeks. Let's have a look at some other states. Arkansas up to 20. I think you'd say that, 15 weeks is, I don't know. That looks to me like a baby. Really. Like, if you're going to draw a baby, you'd probably draw it like that. But, what do I know? I'm just a guy. Don't know these things, do I? I never was a baby. I just popped out when I was 50. Yeah, so same sort of thing as in Australia. We're up to 24, third trimester. It's week 27. I'm not too familiar with all the. So it looks like it's Alaska as well. State below Oregon, it looks like over here, and let's see, is that Arizona over there? I'm not too sure. Alabama, I don't know. I know that up here's around where New York is and so forth, and so up to 24 weeks. A lot of up to 24 weeks. Nothing below. It looks like Texas is the outlier with 6 weeks, and then it's pretty much 20 weeks and onwards. And we'll see here what 20 weeks and onwards looks like. So up to there, fine, beautiful. 20 weeks. You can terminate up to 20 weeks in most of the US. So, alright, guys, just leave your comments below. It'd be interesting to know when you think it should be a crime, when you think that is a human being, and goes from abortion to something more sinister. And yeah, it's a tough subject, but I thought I'd cut off the misinformation here, because there's a lot of misinformation. People just think it's just a bunch of cells. It's like, no, you're not aborting a bunch of cells, man. A bunch of cells is like, I'd say bunch of cells sort of ends around 4 weeks. Because once it's 5 weeks, you're getting a bit of form there. Bunch of cells really 4 weeks max. But it's just a continuum. 1 week later, you've got that. Then a week after that, you got this one. And a week after that, this one. And by 8 weeks, so in 3 weeks, you go from that to that. Continuum. That's why I always say that life is a continuum from conception to death, because we're all changing every single day. You're not the same person you were yesterday. You're a different person every single day of your life. Changing very slowly. I don't look the same as when I was 20. Nobody looks the same 10 years ago. Tom Cruise, even though he ages very well, he obviously has work done. We saw that photo. I don't know if you can probably put it up here. When he was in the baseball game, and he looked like he had some fillers done. Tom Cruise, baseball fillers. I think we all go have a look at this. I think we could all see that he looked like he was having some fillers there. He looked a bit sort of puffy, and so see this photo here. It looked like fillers. Actually, looks like Walrus right there. His skin. I'm just Tom Cruise with fillers. That's it. But yeah, he definitely had some work done. So even Tom Cruise ages So there we go. All right, guys, we'll leave it there. Leave your comments below. I'd be interested to hear where you think we should use the term baby. Where do you think fetus ends and turns into baby? Anyone believe in me that it's a continuum from conception to death? As soon as that baby has unique DNA, I believe it's a unique human being. It's just a matter of time before, as long as the host, we'll say the host female is healthy and alive and everything, that baby's going to grow from conception to birth and all the way to death. That's just my opinion, but I'm sure everyone will think that's just like crazy and fringe. But I can't see it any other way. It's a continuation, as you saw on the website. And we'll get the website up again. It is a continuation from fertilization all the way. And this is just one stage of your life in the mother's womb, all the way, all the way, all the way. You're continuously changing. That's just my opinion. All right, guys, leave it there. Leave your comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.